Now let's talk about how to be in the moment, how to develop capacity and frequency. There are two ways to go about getting better at being present. One is through growing your personal capacity, in other words, increasing your ability. The other is some sort of frequency increase, doing it more often. What I have for you now is a powerful top 20 set of suggestions. I want you to listen to them, but as always, the rule of 3 applies. Just pick 3 of these suggestions that resonate with you. That's all. Number 1, activate your 5 senses. Look for opportunities to engage your sense of smell, taste, touch, sight, or hearing. Purposely engaging any one of these brings you into the present. Tip number 2, approach those you interact with. And I mean this both literally and figuratively. Our brains are always assessing others as to friend or foe. The problem is, professional relationships too can sometimes create distance. Tip number 3, audit your CPA. It's what we call your continuous partial attention. You're almost radar-like scanning of what goes on around you. Our distractors tend to be identifiable and consistent. Tip number 4, befriend those you meet and get to know. Get to know them just a little bit better. This is all it takes. It's definitely a 2-for-1. Just to engage another in light conversation. Engaging in brief social contact will boost your brain function. Tip number 5, breathe 1 count in, 2 counts out. Interacting consumes significant amounts of energy. Where does your body get energy on a moment-to-moment basis? Oxygen. Too many times when conversations get intense, we forget to breathe. Tip number 6, cancel the meeting. Stop having meetings that don't focus on the relationships among the people present. If you're going to hold the meeting, make it about the souls in attendance. Tip number 7, condition your physical being. Rest, diet, and exercise play more of a part in your ability to effectively interact than you might imagine. The less we care for ourselves, the less we are able to care for others. Tip number 8, dedicate time and attention to those you are with. This means verbally and overtly pledging the moment in time to them. What do you have to lose by being obvious about your intent? Tip number 9, disconnect from annoying technology. I believe that several years from now, the inconsiderate texting we do while engaged in conversation will be unacceptable conduct. Designate technology-free zones, because the more you do of this, the less you do of that. Tip number 10, formalize your communication practices. As you would for a new reporting system, a new CRM, or staff reorganization, put the weight of legitimacy behind your interaction protocol. Put it in writing. Tip number 11, measure the quality of your interactions. We have a saying, if you can measure it, you will change it. Ask others to rate the effectiveness of your attempts at interpersonal improvement. You'll like the answers. Number 12, mirror the response you want to see. In essence, our brains light up the same whether we act or we simply watch someone else act. If you want someone else to smile, you go first. Number 13, narrow the scope of your intentions. The number of tasks we can handle at one time without degradation of effectiveness is 1. We can multitask, but with each item added, our performance goes down. Tip number 14, notice the impact you have. Noticing matters. Noticing strengthens connections in your brain. Notice the impact you have in your attempts to be present with others too. Tip number 15, personalize your conversation. There's an old saying that everyone's favorite sound is that of his or her own name. The idea of self-representation starts at 1 year of age. Use their name. Number 16, reboot your interpersonal RAM. The area of your brain known as the PFC or prefrontal cortex is your interpersonal RAM. What does it take to help you reboot? Whatever it might be, it's not defeat. Tip number 17, schedule. Schedule regular, intentional daily interaction. The military services in every corner of the world place a high value on daily physical training, or PT. To be physically fit, it takes daily repetition. To be interactionally fit takes the same thing. Tip number 18, study, and study for its own sake, because understanding brings change. As you learn, your thoughts change. As your thoughts change, so does your brain, quite literally. Become a first-class studier. Tip number 19, substitute a new route or routine. Changing a habit, even a healthy one, can heighten your awareness, and that's halfway to being present. As we follow the same routine day in, day out, we dull and lose our awareness. Tip number 20 then, silence the auditory interrupters. Your auditory interrupters may be the television at home or the radio in the car. Take steps to find a short, quiet respite from the noise. I hope you profit from these 20 suggestions. Take your time. Adopt 3 of them as part of your own personal interaction protocol.